Good afternoon, children. Welcome to 6th standard online science class. Today we are going to continue the second unit in physics, the measurement lesson. The third unit, measurement lesson. Okay, children. So in the previous class we have seen how to measure the length, isn't it? Today we are going to discuss how to measure the mass, and you know the standard unit of mass is that is SI unit of mass is kilogram. What is the SI unit of mass? The SI unit of mass is kilogram. Okay, the formulas for finding out the mass is you have to keep in mind all these things very carefully. 1 kilogram equal to 1000 grams, 1 gram equal to 1000 milligrams, 1 quintal equal to 100 kilogram, and 1 metric ton equal to 1000 kilogram. Hope you have studied all these things in your mathematics class, right, children? Yes. So these are the two commonly used scales for measuring the mass. For measuring the mass, these two common scales, that is balance, simple beam balance, are used for measuring the mass. Apart from that, the jewelers use some balances which are light in weight to measure the weight of lighter substances. This mass is this balance is used, and nowadays they are using electronic weighing machine. Electronic weighing machine is introduced everywhere, which gives the accurate weight of the substance. Okay, so these are the devices used to measure the weight of a substance. The next topic we are going to discuss is measurement of time. Measurement of time. The important units of time is 1 minute equal to 60 seconds, 1 hour equal to 60 minutes, that is 3600 seconds, 1 mean solar day equal to 24 hours. The 24 hours is nearly equal to 86,400 seconds. 86,400 seconds in a day. Okay, so what is the SI unit of time? The SI unit of time is seconds. Okay, the SI unit of time is second. What is the SI unit? The SI unit of the time is second. So keep in mind the SI unit of time. So nowadays we are following the 12 hours clock, isn't it? From morning 12 AM to afternoon 12 PM, and afternoon 12 PM to midnight 11:59 PM we are using 12 hours clock. But in railways and all, they use 24 hours clock. 24 hours clock, where there is no need of mentioning AM or PM. Okay, it states it works continuously, and there is no difference between AM and PM. Only in 12 hours clock we used to mention either whether it is AM or PM. AM means in the morning and PM means in the evening. You know that, right? Yes. So this is 24 hours clock. There is no need of giving AM and PM for the time calculation. Now we are going to discuss about the measurement of temperature. So temperature can be measured in the SI unit Kelvin. Okay, Kelvin, capital K. So the degree Celsius is used to measure the temperature on Celsius scale, while the degree Fahrenheit is used on the Fahrenheit scale. So degree Celsius in the Celsius scale and degree Fahrenheit in Fahrenheit scale. These two scales have been constructed on the basis of two fixed points. The lower fixed point is the temperature at which the ice melts. Okay, the upper fixed point is the temperature at which the water boils. So at which temperature the ice melts? That is 0 degrees Celsius. That is the lower fixed point. And at which temperature the water boils? It boils at 100 degrees Celsius. So that is the upper fixed point. Okay, so the difference between these 2 points is divided into 100 equal points. This is about the Celsius scale. This is about the Celsius scale. So Celsius scale begins from 0 degrees Celsius to 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. Do you understood, children? Yes, that sounds good. Now we are going to talk about the Fahrenheit scale. Fahrenheit scale, the lower and upper fixed point are taken as 32 degree Fahrenheit and 212 degree Fahrenheit respectively. The difference between these two is divided into 180 equal parts. So Fahrenheit, the lower division starts from 32 degree Fahrenheit and ends by 200. The higher the fixed point is 212 degree Fahrenheit. The divisions between these two, the lower end and the upper end, is divided into 180 divisions. Okay, this is about Fahrenheit scale of thermometer. Thermometers used in laboratories are called laboratory thermometers. Okay, like clinical thermometers, they have a small bulb at one end of a long glass cylinder. So here is the diagrammatic representation of a thermometer. It is actually a long narrow glass stem. Okay, long narrow glass stem. Are you able to see? Yes, this is the body of the thermometer, and it has the bulb. It has a bulb like structure. It has a bulb like structure. This bulb like structure holds the mercury. This bulb like structure, no? Yes, this holds the mercury in it. And when the bulb is heated, the mercury expands and enter into the narrow tube which is kept inside the outer glass tube. This mercury enters into the narrow small tube, no, that enters into the glass tube and shows you the reading to up to which temperature the object is heated. Okay, you can note down the reading from the graduated scale. Understood, children? So there are two types of thermometer. One is clinical thermometer, another one is laboratory thermometer. Clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. What is the difference between clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer? Means in a clinical thermometer you have a clink. Okay, you have a kink. This near the bulb you have a kink. Here is the kink. Are you able to see? Here is the kink. This is the bend, no? This is the kink. And why this kink is there? No, this kink does not allow the mercury to move back into the bulb itself. So this kink will prevent the mercury to enter into the bulb again. Once the raised mercury should be there until you take the reading. So this will this will prevent the entry of raised mercury into the bulb again. Do you understand, children? This is present in the case of clinical thermometer. This is present in the case of clinical thermometer. But whereas in the case of laboratory thermometer, it will not present. It does not present. Okay. This laboratory thermometers are usually used in usually used in the laboratory science laboratories to do researchers while doing the researchers or other operations. In order to find the temperature, this laboratory thermometers are used. Do you understand, children, about this clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer? Yes, this clinical thermometer can measure temperatures between 94 degree Fahrenheit and 108 degree Fahrenheit. If we are saying in terms of degree Celsius, it is 35 degrees Celsius and 43 degree Celsius. Okay, 94 degree Fahrenheit to 108 degree Fahrenheit or 32 degree Celsius to 40 or 43 degrees Celsius. Okay, most of the thermometers used in laboratories, in laboratory thermometers, the ranges are from minus 10 degree Celsius to 110 degree Celsius. Okay, children, so this is about the construction of thermometers. Hope you have understood today's class very well and you enjoyed your lessons also. Am I right, children? Yes. So knowing about the thermometer is a quite interesting one, right? Yes. The next topic we are going to learn is about approximation. What is approximation? Approximation can be useful as it saves time and saves us the trouble of measuring. Okay, however, it is inaccurate. Although we can use approximative value, not exact values, in our day-to-day life. They helps us they saves us the time. Okay, they saves us the time and the trouble of measuring. but they are inaccurate. Actual measurements are made with accuracy. It's important, for example, while timing a race and buying things by weight. So you have to have a accurate time, isn't it? You cannot while, for example, in running race you cannot calculate the approximate time. You should calculate the uh, accurate time. Am I right? Similarly, while you are while buying the things by weight, you must buy it by correct weight, not approximate weight. Am I right, children? Yes. The next one is average. So what is average? You know, average is nothing but sum of values divided by number of values. That gives the average. Okay, children. So sum of values divided by number of values will give you the average of readings. When you are taking more readings, for example, if you are calculating the rainfall in your town, how can you do? Every day you have to measure the rainfall amount, and at the end of the month you have to take the average. So how much rain every day, you have to sum up all that and divide by number of days in the month. Either it may be 30 or 28 or 29 or 31. You divide by that. That will give you the average rainfall of that month. Do you understood? Hope you have understood. So that's the end of the lesson. After watching the video carefully and learning the concept well, try to complete the assignment and report in the group, as well as learn the given question answers thoroughly, children, so that you will be prepared for the upcoming quarterly examination. I hope all received your quarterly timetable. Am I right? So you must be prepared for that exam. So keep on learning the things that will improve your mark. Thank you, children. Meet you in the next class.